Let's get. It's always a good sound, Gear, when you hear the recording in progress. That means we're getting ready to do something. Getting ready to do
Here we
something
go.
fun.
Let's do this. Our third one now.
Third, fourth, our third one of this series. Absolutely, the advanced tools and sharing some of the product stuff, which has always been fun. I think we had a couple hundred people sign up for this one, Gear, and they're pouring in right now. All of our participants are joining, so let's give them a few more seconds to join, if that's okay with you, before we get digging into this one. I'm excited about this one too.
Yeah, welcome everybody. We'll kick it off here in just a minute or so.
Yeah. Well, as we get started and get going, and as people are joining, let's just go ahead and kind of kick off like we do on all of our webinars so far. We'll do a brief introduction. My name is Nate Hairgrove. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Onform, alongside our co-founder and CEO, Gear Fisher. We are here today to take what everyone has access to and take it to a level deeper of here. We went through some basics. Now let's get into some more advanced things. And we're going to talk about some of the different analysis tools that we offer within the app, which I'm really excited to talk about today. Few housekeeping things we do have on our, I got a couple of screens here. We are watching any questions that come in. You can just go into the Q&A section and fire off questions. We've got others monitoring it. So we've had some really good feedback, Gear. Even this last week, we were out at a bunch of, talking with a bunch of golf coaches, and they said they joined and have learned a lot of stuff. So at least some people are joining, which is always good for us to hear, right?
Yes,
We're not just
dude,
talking to each
definitely.
other. So yeah, as everyone's pouring in, let's do this. So you've got the Q&A section. Please ask questions or anything you've got. Not a problem. We'll answer those. And at the end, we'll also take a time for Q&A. But the last piece here is that we're actually recording this and we're going to put it on a YouTube page. So if there's any chance you want to go back and pause, practice any of the stuff that Gear and I talk about, and then resume, that'll be posted to our YouTube page. You can see here some of the tools we're going to be talking about today, the drawing lines tools, angles and shapes and circles and everything that we give you access to. The stopwatch, something that not a lot of coaches have probably seen or heard about. And we've got a really cool video to show you on the stopwatch piece. The measurement tool, we've added just a couple of new features on that one, which is kind of neat. And I think we'll get into that a little bit deeper. And then some of the more commonly used ones are our side-by-side overlay and comparison videos, which are really popular, and our voiceover recording. So with that, Gear, I'd love to, like we always do, turn it over to you. Let's start in on a conversation. I think you can share your screen, hopefully. Let's kick it to you and let's jump into the product. Let's talk about some analyzing videos.
All right, yeah, let's do that. I'll share my screen. Nate, go ahead and turn your intro off. All right, I'm going to be doing this live from my iPad here. You'll see I'm literally plugged in, and today's whole point is a build up to what is essentially our hallmark feature, the voiceover recording. And the entire intent of Onform is to be a communication video analysis platform between coaches and students, their athletes. And the whole context is around a video. So how can you use Onform to describe different elements of technique and improvements and pinpoint areas where an athlete or a player can improve through video, and do that by capturing a coach's feedback either in person or fully remote. We have tons of people that use the app and don't meet their clients. We have tons of people that stand right there on the lesson tee or at the track or on the diamond with their students and athletes, and literally just hold the iPad next to them so they can instantly see different elements of feedback for their technique. So we're going to start off diving into some of the basic stuff, but I'm going to cover some more advanced topics. So hopefully you'll all learn a little bit of something, and if not, well, thanks for spending some time with us. But I feel like there's going to be a nugget or two that you'll all be able to take away from here. And I'm going to use some different sports to show that. So let's get started and we'll dive right in. I'm just going to go ahead and open up a video. And here we have a golfer. And let's do a quick view of the video playback screen, number one, you've got your scrubber wheel down here. I'm dragging my finger on that little wheel, right? Just the very simple analysis of viewing what happened a second ago from slow motion standpoint is useful. These buttons also go frame by frame. This one is the playback. And in the playback, you can control the playback speeds using this little guy down here, go to half speed, quarter speed, etc. And you can also loop it using the little loop icon here. We try and give you some really nice, easy interface tools to work with your video. And if you tap on the screen, it hides what we call the Chrome. So that's just an interaction that sometimes people don't quite get first off. If you tap the screen again, the Chrome comes back that I can play with it. And if I tap it again, it goes away. Now in this mode, by the way, I can hold my finger on the video and scrub the video back and forth without having any of those lines and all the Chrome showing. That's possible when the drawing tools are closed. The drawing tools live up here, and we'll dive into that now. When the drawing tools are open, the interactions of your finger on the screen are used for drawing. This is the drawing tool tray. And in here, we give you 5 shortcuts of drawing tools, as well as a clear and an undo feature. But if I tap any one of these tools a second time, it opens up the various menu of drawing tools. This is just your collection of different features and tools that you have to draw in the video. Everything from a simple line. So if I click on that line, I can now draw a line, let's say on the club. All right. Or maybe I want to outline his hips, or maybe outline his direction of his feet. I can come back and tap that again, and let's change to the arrow tool. You'll note that now the default is the arrow tool. I don't have to pick the arrow tool again. Now I'm drawing arrows. I could switch to a rectangle if I really like rectangles. Maybe I really like drawing circles. I'll tap it again and use the circle. So the last tool you use here becomes the shortcut for the next video that you open. And now let's just run through each one of these. I'll tap on that again. So you've seen the line. A really tricky thing with the line, I'm going to clear this off. A cool thing that we do when you draw a line, it's just a line, but as you get close to vertical, we actually show you the numbers, the angle, just so you can draw a perfect vertical angle or a perfect horizontal angle. You'll see as I get within a few degrees of horizontal, that shows up. So there I just drew a perfect horizontal and vertical line. If I tap this line again, you'll see the handles come up, and I can also move these. And lastly, like a lot of things, if I just grab it in the middle there, I can drag it around on the screen. And oh, by the way, I can use 2-finger pinch to zoom in anytime I want, okay, on whatever I'm trying to show. The next tool, arrow, you get arrows, you draw arrows. I'm not going to talk about that one too much. This is a cool one, the line angle tool. This is similar to the line tool, but it shows that angle at all times. I'll clear this off again for clarity. But you'll notice if I draw the line this direction, it's showing the obtuse angle of 142 degrees. That would be the angle that goes from horizontal to here. If I draw that line upward, it shows the acute angle to horizontal. So 39 degrees would be right here. This is just a very handy tool that allows you to quickly get an angle, but it's always an angle to horizontal, and depending on the direction you draw, it's either the obtuse or the acute version of that. Next, the actual angle tool. So unlike the line angle tool, which is always drawing to horizontal, the line angle tool, or the angle tool, actually lets you draw an angle, as you can imagine. So here we are drawing. I can do any line I want. Let's take, for example, his, I always start down the line that you want. So in this case, we could spin that around. Now I can see that's a 143-degree arc that he's created with his hands in the backswing. And again, I can move the screen or the video as needed. That line will stay there for reference. And I can, again, edit that by tapping on it. And maybe I want to draw it back to his leg, for example. Okay, so that's the angle tool. It's showing the angle in between a couple lines. Circle, as you can imagine, draws a circle. Let's focus on your head there. And we'll zip through the next. This is a freeform tool. I'm gonna just move my finger on here. So if I just like to draw, maybe point out some key things, big arrow, keep your eyes on the ball, there you go. That's just a freeform drawing tool. There's a freeform drawing with a line, with an arrowhead. This one, little trick, you kind of have to use your finger quickly. So maybe I want to draw an angle there. I'm picking my finger up. Every once in a while, the head of the arrow can get a little goofy. So you just kind of have to make sure you leave your finger which direction you want that to go. Okay. And then, of course, we get into some cooler things, which I'll cover in a minute. Stopwatch, a rectangle, and an actual measurement tool. I will talk more about those here shortly, but I also finally wanted to mention you can change the color or select a color of choice for any one of these tools using the little color palette there. And we just try to keep it simple for now with those selection of the 5 different colors. You choose the tools you want, but you always have access by simply tapping back here again. Some other cooler drawing tools are the skeleton over here in the top left corner. This is a very neat AI-driven way to visualize movement. It's going to take any movement. It recognizes the human in the frame, and it's going to give you these lines automatically so that you don't have to draw them. You might be talking about a certain position or stance. Now, a couple of tricks here. If I tap on any joint, it's going to show the inside or outside angle, depending on, first time there's the inside, there's the outside angle, and that will stay there as I move through the video. You can see it's dynamically changing. I tap it again to turn it off. And if I only want to highlight a certain body part, I'm going to hold my finger down on the little skeleton, and it goes into this edit mode where if I really only want to talk about his legs right now, I can actually turn off the arm elements. Okay, and even, let's say, turn off the shoulders. I tap away from it, and now the skeleton is only showing the legs and torso line. So just an easy way to edit using the skeleton, and it's a really nice tool for visualizing movement. I'll turn these segments back on, but it'll remember your last setting that you used. All right, let's talk about the stopwatch. I want to talk about the stopwatch using a different video. I'm going to jump out over here and let's go to, for example, this track video. Here we have an athlete who set up the iPad or iPhone on a track, and she is timing a runner that is doing a sprint interval here. So I am going to open up my drawing tools. I'm going to choose the stopwatch, this little stopwatch looking deal. And what we can do is move the video forward, and as soon as she claps, okay, I'm going to place a stop tool on the video. I just clicked on the video. Now as I run the video forward, it's counting very accurately the timing, and the runner comes by. I'm even just, because I'd like to show it, I'm going to draw a line here and move that nicely on the finish so I can see his chest coming through there. So 4.576 seconds. If I tap that tool right now, it will hold that timer in place. See, as I scroll around, it's not going forward any further. It allows you to do all sorts of timings. This is just a cool case where they wanted to time these sprints, and this is a fun way to do that. I can also do things like timing a swing. I can take a batter here. I could place a stopwatch timer. At impact, I can even place another timer, and we can see after the impact. You can do this in golf in timing, let's say, a backswing and the downswing. Again, I'll tap on the timer. Actually, I'm going to clear that off. I'm going to take him to address, tap in the timer. Goes to the backswing. I'll tap on the timer right when he's at transition to hold it in place. Now I'm going to place a red timer for his downswing, and we're going to run through the downswing and pause it at impact. So there's a cool way to show the backswing and downswing using our timer capability. Now, another trick here is I don't actually have to use a stopwatch timer tool to do that. I can even, using on the yellow scrubber here, if I tap the scrubber dot, it'll set that to 0 right there. Now I get a 0 point and can run this as same sort of deal for a quick and dirty, easy timing capability. So there's that same backswing right there coming through. I can tap it again and go back to the normal timer, but I can tap this at any point to zero it out and measure something that I want to just get a quick timing for in a video. Little known trick of the trade there.
So Gear, one question on that is that only works for like a one stopwatch situation. If you wanted to do a top of swing and a down swing, that you would need to use our stopwatch for that. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yeah. The timer on the scrubber is just a very fast single timing. Use the timer tool, the stopwatch tool, to use multiple timers at any point along your video that you'd like. Another cool way to use that, let's take hurdles. Jumping, let's talk, in between hurdle time. Here we have a runner, she takes off, we can set a timer. You can get, I'll time the second she lands there. I'm gonna move this one. Tap that, she's gonna go again, and we'll tap that one, and tap one more. You can see there, we can time the in-between hurdle times. So you could get ground contact time, step time, etc. Lots of ways to use that, and you can use as many timers as you want in a video. Note they do go both forward and backward. Tap it again, that holds it in place. Tap it a third time, and it'll zero it out. Let me clear those all off. There you go. All right, that's the timer. Did I miss anything, Nate?
No, so far so good. We've had a couple of questions that I've answered super quick, which have been great. One question that came in was the timer of the single versus multiple timers, like we addressed. And then another one was just about adding text, maybe a text box to be able to type in on over top.
Yeah, we don't have a text field box at this point, but we do. You can just use the drawing tool for small things, whatever. I can draw words. It's a little bit not ideal, but a text tool is probably one of our most requested features. So that's something we will definitely work on.
And one of the answers we tell a lot of coaches, Gear, is if you're doing like a before and after, you can certainly tag it, or you could title that video a before and after too, so that it's not a watermark or put on the video, but you could add tags and stuff to it.
You bet. Let's talk about the measurement tool. This is another one that's kind of has some caveats, but is super useful. So I'm going to tap into the drawing tools. I'm going to pick this little guy that looks like a ruler, or maybe it's a comb. We'll call it a ruler because it's supposed to be a ruler. And you'll see what happens here. So I have a softball pitcher here. And what the ruler is useful for are doing things like measuring stride length here. So the trick to using it, though, is you have to have a calibration element in your video in order to calibrate the ruler. The ruler, what it's doing is I can come down and I know that this mat is a 5-foot wide mat. So I'm going to go and draw a line right where her feet are in the same plane, if you will. And I'm actually going to get this accurate to that mat. Okay. When I tap on the number right here, it'll pull up that calibration box, and I'm going to enter 5 feet. Okay. Now what that does is it sets a pixel per inch value so that all subsequent times I use that ruler, it shows me a distance in feet, 2.37 feet. So now that I've calibrated that line, and it's critical to calibrate the line in the vertical plane where you're measuring. In other words, that's a 5-foot mat, but if I come back here and measure one of these bricks, that is not a 7-inch or a 7/10 of a foot cinder block. That's probably an 18 or a 24-inch cinder block. The calibration only works in the vertical plane that you do the calibration. That's why I chose to draw that line straight under her feet. But now what's cool is if we roll this video forward and look at where she steps, okay, I can now draw that line all the way through to where she's, where she's stepping. Let's go all the way to the toe or all the way to the heel. So 5.6 feet off the rubber there. And again, you can use that multiple times in the same video. If you open up another video, you're going to need to recalibrate it. But as long as you're shooting or recording, let's say you have a tripod set up, any of your athletes that roll through here, you only have to calibrate it once because the camera position is staying in the same place. And again, I could measure it, you know, other items, but only in the vertical plane where I've calibrated that. And if I need to recalibrate it, if I happen to open up, you know, a different video, again, I would first have to come in here, set the line, let's say on this mat right there, tap it, tap the number, enter, you know, whatever the calibration distance is, and then your lines will be all good from there. Okay, so that's the measurement tool. We got a lot of requests for that from baseball and softball coaches. So measure the stride length in pitching. You can use it in other ways. Hopefully that provides some good value to you. Now, before I get too far, I wanted to also just take a quick second to jump over into the Onform Settings, okay? And show you some options over here in the video player that will help you with your analysis capabilities. Number one, if you're left-handed, turn on left-handed controls. It'll move the drawing tools into the left corner so you're not always having to reach as far to do the drawing elements on screen. If you're coming from another competitor, V1 perhaps, they've always used two-finger drawing. I can turn on two-finger drawing, and what that does is instead of pinch and zooming the screen with two fingers, which has kind of become the standard interaction when you use and place when you're working with lines and stuff on an image, this will actually allow you to precisely place a line using two fingers. Something that if you're coming from V1 have used, you can turn that back on and use it similar to how you've always done it. There's some other customizations in here like disable voice recordings, not using the HD aspect ratio. An iPad does not use a standard HD format aspect ratio like 1080p or 720p. They use a totally custom weird one. Depends if you want full screen video for use on iPads, or if you're blending with other previously recorded video, you'll want to keep it in HD aspect ratio, but a fancier customization there. We automatically, well, let me talk about skipping voiceover after creation. If you're in the middle of a lesson and you can do a voiceover right there with the person, instead of it always asking you to share, you can enable this and it'll just save you some clicks and steps so that you can instantly record the video and get back to coaching without having to go through the sharing steps. Disable automatic saving of drawings. You'll note when I pull this video back up, it automatically has those timers or whatever drawings I had on the screen when I last closed the video. It's a handy reference for most, but if it's annoying to you, you can make it so that it doesn't automatically save those drawings on the screen. Yes.
If I may, one question, how you said automatic save of drawings. The one thing that has come up a couple times that I've noticed, and someone wrote in, when you're doing the measuring tool, it's not necessarily saving that distance that I measured. So if you go to the pitching 5-foot mat and you said this is 5 foot or it went 6 feet, when you go to save that, it's not holding it. So maybe talk to that real quick. Like,
it's gonna go, it's not going to remember the calibration. It's just going to remember whatever tools you drew on here. So I drew a 2.93 foot thing. If I come back and open that up again, it's still there as a line, but that number won't appear, and you'll need to recalibrate the drawing tool for it to appear. So the lines will stay.
I was going to say, so maybe what we could suggest is if you're wanting to put the lines on there and have that measurement for your athlete, do a quick voiceover that you said this is a 2.3 or a 5-foot mat, and then it would save that voiceover, and then it would save it onto that video. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's correct. And we can do that as I come up here in the voiceover when we get to that. But yes, if you want to save that, you would want to do a voiceover to show your athlete exactly what that was over time.
How about this question, if I may? Talking about the metric measurements. I know that's something that we had talked with Krishna about, and I think we're either working on adding it in there, or if it's not in there yet, I know it's been discussed and going to be added, but someone's asking about takeoff distance, and is there a way to do it in metric?
Yeah,
I want to say it might have been sport specific, but you take it from there.
at the moment, we just default to what your iPad is set at. If your iPad is set to metric units, it will come up in metric. If it's set to English units, it'll stay English. But we do have that request in so that you could choose independent of what you normally do. Just like, you might talk to somebody on the track about running an 800, but then next thing you know, that's in yards. Next thing you know, you're talking about a 5K, which is a metric kilometer deal. So we do have it on our request list to just give you both English and metric options there.
Awesome. I think we're caught up on a lot of the questions. I've
Questions
been
for so
busy
far.
typing and answering. So let's keep back to you.
Last couple things here. I do want to mention we also have right to left scrubbing of the flywheel. You can choose which direction you want to advance the video. Again, depending on what you're used to, if you're used to using Apple, opening up a video on the Apple player, you actually scrub to the left to advance the video forward in time. So if that just feels right to you, know that there's an option down here to do that. Last one, I just wanted to mention the recording quality of a voiceover. You can choose better and best quality. It makes the file bigger, slower to upload, etc. But it is an option. It's particularly useful in swimming. Water tends to be extremely difficult to show super clearly when it's very rough. And so if you increase the quality of the voiceover recording, you'll get better image, better video, especially when you have water or a dramatically changing scene that you're working with. Most people won't matter, just want to make you aware of it since we are talking about advanced capabilities. Okay.
Here, I got another one for you. I know you're like itching to get to that voiceover and comparison piece, but these are a couple of good ones. Let's answer them live if we can. You mentioned about scrubbing wheel and the line. What about moving and advancing it without using the yellow line or the scrubber wheel or the ticks or the arrows? Just on screen.
That's possible when you don't have the drawing tools open. So in this video right here, I'm pressing on the video itself to move the thing forward in time. I am not pressing down here. So when you have the drawing tools closed, you can scrub it anywhere on the screen with your finger. When the drawing tools are open, okay, we're actually using that interpretation to do the drawing tool. That's why you can't scrub it using, that's why you have to have the little scrubber wheel when the drawing tools are open. Did that answer it?
It did. That answered it. And my second one is trimming a video. Video's too long. We want to trim it real quick. I think that fits into the analyzing of it right here. How do we trim a video?
Yeah, let's take any video. If we want to trim a video, open it up, come up to these three dots, and you'll find the trim. And just like you'd be used to on your phone, you can grab this little gold handle here and move it to, this is going to move the beginning of the video to wherever I want. Let's move it right there. Now I hit save, and I can either overwrite the video or save it as a whole new video. I chose save it as a new video. It creates the new video, and now the starting point is closer to her actual throw. So that's trimming. You can trim on either end. If I go back to the original here, I can grab the trim again, and I can also trim from this direction. This is where the video is going to end. So maybe I want to trim it right after the release and the ball goes off the frame, or however we want to do that. Okay, that's trimming. Another one in there, since we're in there, is flip. So if we wanted to show her as a lefty, you can hit flip and it'll spin that around, and now she's a lefty. So an easy little feature to use, which just flips the video back and forth. Any more, Nate, for now?
No, I think that's great for now. Let's jump to our side-by-side overlay comparisons. I think that was next on.
So another cool feature here is I can hit compare. I'm opened up a video, I'll tap compare, tap add. It then gives you the ability to go find any video across your whole Onform universe. I can go grab, let's say, this one and select it. So now we have two down the line videos. I'm using two fingers to pinch and zoom onto just the athlete here. So now I have, you know, 2 videos. I'm going to take them both to impact, let's say. And another thing I can do here is get them right at the same spot. Now I can link these two, whoops, excuse me. Now I can link these 2 videos so that they're on the same timeline. So now I've got them both linked at impact, even though they're 2 totally different swings, 2 different clubs, but we can show some differences. And one great way of showing differences between swings is then to use the overlay. So I'm going to tap this little box up here. Now, because these were recorded at 2 different times, and I'm purposefully using a red shirt and blue shirt version of the player here, I now have the videos overlaid, but we need to register the videos. So it's super easy. I'm going to, again, use 2-finger pinch, and I'm just going to kind of move these around. You'll note this little yellow bar up here controls the opacity of each video. All I have to do to control the red shirt video is get him a little bit more in the scene. So I'm going to go to the left so that the red is a little bit more highlighted. Now when I do 2-finger pinching, it's going to expand the red guy. So I'm going to bring him up here, get their feet and body overlaid as much as I can. So there you go. There's 2 completely different swings, all right, that are time synced to impact, but it allows you to show differences between what he's doing. So you'll notice, obviously, the backswing on one is much shorter than the other. I don't know what club it is. I didn't happen to check. Probably a wedge versus a long iron here. So, but at impact, you can see some really cool differences. The best way to use overlay is to be able to film from the same vantage point off a tripod. Then no matter what happens, you're always getting a perfect overlay. But we can compensate for not having that perfect tripod overlay. And that's how you do it, using the 2-finger pinch. So these were even shot from a couple different angles, but it's a super handy way to provide some feedback. Now, all this culminates into recording the voiceover, which is, again, kind of the hallmark feature of Onform, and probably the most powerful tool that you can use as a coach to give your feedback back to the athlete. So I'm actually going to start with just a single video, and the voiceover tool is right here. So I'm going to tap that. I want to record screen and microphone. Now, when the red bar appears, it means it's recording every action that you do. So all the motion and all the lines and such that you're drawing, okay? So that we can actually get some feedback here and provide visual feedback through the video. Now, some cool features are I can pause this. The video recording is now paused. Maybe the dog barked or needs to be let outside, or the mailman's here. I can just pause my voiceover recording and then come back to it and pick up right where I left off. But another cool thing I can do is, you know, I'm restarted the video. I'll hit compare, and that automatically pauses the voiceover so that I can go and find a video that I want to add in without recording that video, me dinking around, surfing my computer for what I want to add. I'll pick this face on view here. I'm even going to clear off all the drawing tools, and maybe I want to scrub it forward in time so it's right at the backswing. Okay, I get it to wherever I want. Now I can hit resume. Okay, I'm back to talking. I can link these 2 videos together. Again, I can do whatever other drawings I'd like to add. Maybe we're looking at different body angles. I can turn on our instructor cam here so you can actually see me talking. Hey Connor, I really wanted you to hold your hands in a different way, or maybe this is just a great way to personalize it, which I can also drag this around so it's not covering up the screen in a key place that I'd like to have it. If I tap on the instructor cam, I can make it a little larger. I can even switch to the external or the back camera instead of the front facing camera while I'm talking. But this is a really neat way to personalize your voiceovers. I'll turn that back off. I'll turn on our skeleton tracking, add some things. Again, I'm going to pause this. Now I'm going to use the edit tool to change the videos that I'm even working with. So I'm going to take the red version out here, and I'm going to actually add a baseball player. So now you'll see I can use multiple videos throughout the process of doing a voiceover and bring them in and out, use them for side by side or just singularly. So here I'll resume. I'm back to talking about a baseball swing versus a golf swing, whatever I want to point out, clear these things off. Maybe want to clean it up and turn off the skeleton overlay. Let's pause again, tap edit, and let's just remove the golfer entirely. Okay, and you know what? I'm actually going to keep going. I can now talk about the swing. I can basically use as many different ones as I would like. And when I'm done, I hit stop and it instantly gives me a voiceover for playback. And you'll note the final product of the voiceover doesn't include the chrome of the screen. And I can zip through here and you'll see it just instantly goes from the single video to the side by side, my voice instructor cam. I just muted my audio. There's the baseball guy, and finally a single video. When I'm done, I hit save, webinar test, and of course, it allows me to come up and save it or share it to anybody I want. I happen to be just in a single person team here, so there's nobody there to bother with, but it saves my webinar recording, and now I can use that and share it to my athletes or a group of people anytime I want. That, Nate, wraps up the whole sort of loop with the drawing tools, how to use the drawing tools to record a voiceover, the ability to use multiple videos in a voiceover, side-by-sides, overlays. I hope there's some nuggets of information in there. Do we have any other questions at this point?
I mean, we've gotten, you may not have, I haven't interacted with you as much this time, Gear, because I have been so busy firing off all these questions and answers to let you just keep going. So I think we've answered most of our questions, to be honest.
Cool. Well, we're 37 minutes into it by my count, and we try and keep these to around 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
If anybody has any other questions, please reach out to us, support@onform.com. And our support team is incredibly available. We usually get back to you in just a few hours. So this will also be recorded, and sure appreciate everybody tuning in here. Any final words from you, Nate?
Well, I'm getting more questions coming in right now. So as long as people stay on, do you want to take a quick second to answer them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Is there a way to edit your voiceover?
Good question.
Voiceover.
So, but there's no way to actually edit the recorded voiceover, but there's no reason you can't open up the voiceover and record a new voiceover or trim to a part where maybe you messed up, right? So you can open up a voiceover, maybe the dog barked or whatever, you can trim back to that point, create a new video, and then start your voiceover all over again using that voiceover video. So you can't truly edit. You can't go into a voiceover and change the line that you already drew. But yes, you can easily kind of fix some stuff or use our merge tool. Maybe the middle of a 10-minute voiceover you just didn't like and you want to redo. Trim both edges of the voiceover so you have a 5-minute piece and a 4-minute piece. Record a new voiceover and then use our merge tool to piece those three things together. So some great ways to do it that way, though.
One of the other questions we just had that came in was price and availability. So Onform is $29 a month or $299 a year. That's USD. That gives you unlimited students, unlimited videos, and all of your students or athletes get the app for free. So we have priced this thing really affordable. We think we've had a lot of coaches signing up and said, man, it's extremely affordable and easy to use. Gear, if we got $1 every time we heard that, I think we'd be millionaires. Extremely affordable and easy to use. And I love it. So
yes.
Great job. We've got a couple other questions coming in that I'm going to answer on the side that are just more technical stuff outside of what we've already talked about, analysis. And I really love the idea that we're able to keep these going. This is great participation and it's good learning. Thanks again for your time, Gear. I know you're slammed busy with meetings and everything, but this is a priority for us, and I think it's well deserved for our listeners to join. So with that, I think we wrap up unless you got anything else.
Nope, that's it. Appreciate everybody joining, and always reach out. And thanks so much for all the support we've had over the years. Look for more to come.
Thank you, everyone.